Once upon a time, in a quiet village nestled between lush green mountains, there lived a young man named Arjun. He was restless, always chasing success, always comparing himself to others, and always feeling that life was too difficult. He had wealth, a good family, and many friends, yet he felt lost, as if something was missing. One day he heard that a wise monk, a follower of Buddha's teachings, had arrived at the village temple. Hoping to find answers, Arjun hurried there and found the monk sitting under a large banyan tree, his eyes filled with peace. "Master, why is life so difficult? No matter how much I achieve, I never feel satisfied. I always want more, and I feel exhausted." The monk smiled and picked up a glass jar. Beside him were three objects: a handful of rocks, some pebbles, and a cup of sand. The monk filled the jar first with rocks. The jar looked full. Then he added the pebbles, which settled in between the rocks. Finally, he poured the sand, filling every tiny gap. "Do you see? This jar represents your life. The rocks are the most important things: your health, your loved ones, your inner peace. The pebbles are the secondary things: your job, wealth, status. The sand is everything else: the little distractions, the worries, the unnecessary stress. If you fill your jar with sand first, there's no space left for the important things. But if you focus on the rocks first, everything else will fit in." Arjun sat in silence, realizing how much of his life had been filled with sand. His endless pursuit of more money, approval, and achievements while neglecting inner peace. Arjun then asked, "Master, why does suffering exist? Why do I feel so much pain whenever I fail or get hurt?" The monk picked up a small twig and drew two arrows in the dirt. Buddha once said, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." When you are struck by the first arrow, pain from failure, loss, or hardships, you cannot avoid it. But the second arrow, that is the suffering you create in your mind. The overthinking, the fear, the regret, that is optional. If you learn to accept pain without adding suffering, life becomes easier. Arjun nodded, realizing how often he had made his struggles worse by overanalyzing them, rather than accepting them and moving forward. Then the monk took Arjun to a river. They watched as the water flowed effortlessly around rocks, never clinging, always moving forward. Life is like this river. If you hold on to the past, regrets, or anger, you will drown in your own suffering. But if you let go, you will flow freely and reach your destination with peace. Arjun reflected on his own grudges, his fears, and his constant worries about the future. He realized he had been trying to control everything, rather than trusting the flow of life. Finally, the monk handed Arjun a lotus flower. This flower grows in muddy water, yet it blooms beautifully. Life will always have struggles, but you can choose to rise above them, just like this lotus. Happiness is not in money, status, or achievements. It is within you. When you stop chasing it and start living in the present, you will find true peace. For the first time, Arjun felt a deep sense of calm. He realized that life wasn't difficult. It was his mind that made it so. He smiled and bowed to the monk, ready to embrace life with a new perspective. Arjun returned to his village with a new mindset. He focused on meaningful relationships, practiced gratitude, and embraced the present moment. As weeks passed, he felt lighter, as if a burden had been lifted. One day, he decided to spread what he had learned. He gathered a group of young villagers under the same banyan tree and shared the wisdom the monk had given him. You don't need to chase happiness. It is already within you. Focus on what truly matters, let go of what you cannot control, and accept pain without suffering. His words resonated with many, and soon the village was filled with more kindness, patience, and joy. People helped each other, forgave past mistakes, and found peace in the present. Years passed, and Arjun became known as a wise teacher himself. One day, a young traveler came to him, asking the same question he had once asked the monk. "Why is life so difficult? I keep chasing happiness, yet I never find it." Arjun smiled and picked up a glass jar. Beside him were three objects: a handful of rocks, some pebbles, and a cup of sand. And so the cycle of wisdom continued.